This happened uh, about 2 years ago, I think. Fall. I remember the trees were just starting to turn, and the air had that bite that makes you feel like something's ending. It was supposed to be this little escape. Me and three of my closest friends just disappearing into the woods for a few days. No phones, no emails, no noise. Total disconnect. We planned it for weeks. Found this remote loop trail way out in the national forest. Barely trafficked, mostly overgrown. Kind of perfect. It was going to be our last big hike before winter came in and ruined everything. The first day was normal. Kind of fun, even. We set up camp near this old fire road, right by a stream, had a fire, made some weird dehydrated meal things. The usual stuff. But the second day, yeah, that's when things got weird. We'd gone a little off trail. Nothing too sketchy, just exploring. And then we found this cabin. God, I almost didn't see it at first. It was so buried under vines and brush, like the forest had been trying to swallow it whole. Half the roof was caved in, windows were busted, front steps were rotted through. It looked dead. You know what I mean? Like something time forgot. We should have just walked past. I know that now. But of course we didn't. Emily pushed the door open. Well, kind of nudged it. It was barely still on the hinges, and we went inside. It was dusty, cold, smelled like wet leaves and old metal. But also, there was something off. Like, it looked abandoned, but it wasn't. There was a little ring of rocks someone had used as a fire pit, piles of old blankets, a lantern, and, ugh, this part gave me chills. Tin cans like neatly stacked in the corner, all clean, labels peeled off. Someone was living there. We were about to bounce, like, fast, when someone behind us cleared their throat. I'll never forget that sound. It was just so casual, like we weren't even trespassing, like we were the weird part. I turn around and, God, I still get that tight feeling in my chest when I think about it. There was a man, just standing there in the doorway, mid-50s, maybe older, thin, dirty, wearing like 6 layers of clothing that looked like they'd been worn through the seasons. His beard was scraggly, not long, just neglected. But his eyes, they were sharp, tired but sharp. He didn't say anything at first, just looked at each of us, slowly. Then he looked right at Emily, and he said, real soft, "Emily." The way he said it, she stepped back immediately. "What? How do you know my name?" Her voice cracked, and I could tell she was trying to stay calm, but yeah, no. She was shaking, and he just took this tiny step forward, hands open like he was trying not to scare her. "You look like your mother," he said. "Exactly like her." I I wanted to grab her and leave. I mean, I didn't care if the guy needed help or was just some recluse. Something about it felt wrong. Like we'd walked into something way too personal. Emily just kept saying she didn't know him. Over and over. "I've never seen you before. Who are you?" And then he says, barely above a whisper, "I'm your father. I never left you. I just couldn't find you again." I I honestly thought he was delusional, like hallucinating or trying to mess with her. But the way he said it, it didn't sound like a lie. It sounded like something that had been breaking him for years. Emily stood there, frozen. Her face just changed. She'd always told us her dad left when she was a baby, that her mom never talked about it, just said he was gone. Period. But this guy, he knew things, little things. Her middle name, her birthday, the name of this stuffed owl she apparently used to carry around as a toddler. I didn't even know about that. He said he'd looked for her for years. Said her mom kept moving, changing names, addresses, everything. That he never stopped trying. And then, I'll never forget this. He looked around the cabin and said, I built this place just to feel close to her. The forest was the only place I ever felt like she might still find me. That line just hit me. I don't even know why. It was so sad, so specific. Anyway, none of us slept much that night. Emily didn't talk, just kind of sat near the fire, staring off. At one point, she walked off into the dark by herself, which freaked me out, but I didn't follow. I think she just needed to breathe. She talked to him the next morning, real quiet, not for long, but she came back with something scribbled in her journal, a phone number, or maybe an address. I don't know. She didn't say anything else about it, and we never talked about it again. But every now and then, like when we're on a road trip or driving past trees that stretch for miles, I'll catch her just staring out the window, like she's back there, back in that cabin, wondering. And I guess I am too, because, yeah, there are scary things in the woods, but sometimes they're not monsters. They're just people, waiting, hoping someone finally hears them. So, this happened a couple summers ago. Me, my cousin Tyler, and two of our friends went camping way out in the national forest. Like deep in. No cell service, no trails, no other campers, just trees and quiet. We'd done trips like that before, but I don't know. This one felt different. Maybe it was the distance. Maybe it was how still everything felt, even during the day. Anyway, we set up the tent near a clearing, built a little fire, joked around, roasted marshmallows, the usual. It was supposed to be one of those perfect summer memories, you know? The kind that lives in your head is like golden hour nostalgia. But then night came, and it all shifted. It started small. First night, probably around midnight. I was half asleep, just kind of drifting when I heard it. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Right against the tent wall, like right next to my head. I thought maybe I imagined it. You know how your brain makes stuff up in the dark. But then I heard it again, slower this time. Steady. God, it didn't sound like an animal. It was too intentional, like something was dragging across the fabric. Then I hear Tyler whisper from his sleeping bag. You hear that? I just nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Don't move, I whispered. The scratching stopped, and then nothing. Just silence. Not even crickets. I don't know how long we laid there like that. Felt like forever. Next morning, we checked it out. The spot where the noise came from. The ground was soft, but there was nothing. No tracks. No scuffs. No claw marks. Not even a snapped twig. We laughed it off, of course. Nervous laughter. Blamed it on a raccoon or wind brushing a branch or whatever. But deep down, all of us, we knew they didn't feel right. Second night, it came back. Same time, same sound, same spot. Only this time, when it stopped, I swear I heard breathing. Just for a second, like someone was leaning close to the tent. I couldn't sleep after that. None of us really could. But it was the third night when it got really off. That time, the scratching started near the back of the tent and began circling. Slowly, like pacing. Just this steady, soft drag all the way around us. And not fast either. Like something was taking its time. Like it knew we were listening. Ugh, I still get chills thinking about it. We all sat up. No one even pretended to sleep. Tyler was gripping this little pocket knife he barely knew how to open, and I had one of those heavy flashlights. Not that it helped much. When the sun finally came up, we stumbled outside, bags under our eyes, hands shaking. And that's when we saw them. Footprints. Not animal. Human. Small. barefoot. They circled the tent twice and then stopped right in front of the flap, like someone had been crouching there, just watching us. I remember the air felt colder. Not like temperature cold, just off. Like something didn't want us there. Tyler wanted to pack up and leave right then. But I don't know, something in me didn't want to just run. I needed to understand it. I didn't want to go home scared of the woods. I mean, the forest was supposed to be our place, right? So we stayed one more night. No fire, no talking, just four of us sitting in the dark, waiting. Around 2 a.m., it started again. Same scratching, same rhythm. Tyler didn't even hesitate. He unzipped the tent fast, flashlight on, and that's when we saw him, just standing there. This kid, maybe 12 or 13, in this oversized, dirty hoodie. Pale, still, just watching the light like it was too bright. He didn't move, didn't speak. I stepped out slowly. Hey, are you okay? Are you lost? Nothing. He just looked down and started scratching the bark of a nearby tree with a stick. Same rhythm, same pattern we've been hearing for nights. And then, out of nowhere, we heard voices, shouting a name, flashlights bouncing between the trees. Turned out, the kid had gotten separated from his hiking group days earlier. He had autism, couldn't speak clearly, couldn't really call for help in the usual way. So he did what he could, small, repetitive sounds, soft enough not to scare people, persistent enough that maybe someone would notice. And us, our tent, our voices, our campfire, it made him feel safe. That's why he kept coming back. Rangers said we probably saved his life just by being there. But man, that night stuck with me because it made me realize something. Fear, real fear, doesn't always mean danger. Sometimes it's just misunderstood. And sometimes the thing scratching outside your tent isn't trying to hurt you. It's just trying to say, please, I'm here. Can someone hear me? It was last fall, I think mid-October, when me and some friends decided to go camping up near Black Pines Ridge. It's one of those spots that's kind of untouched, just forest for miles. No cell service, no crowds. Honestly, that was the whole point, to unplug, get away from everything. Just firewood, junk food, a bottle or two, and a couple of dumb stories under the stars. There were 6 of us. We'd all known each other since high school, mostly. We picked a spot a little off the main trail, way off, actually. We liked it that way. The more isolated, the better. First night was normal. Warm fire, burnt marshmallows, someone playing old music from a Bluetooth speaker that only worked half the time. Just dumb fun. No one wanted to go to bed. But the second night, I don't know, something felt different. We were sitting around the fire again, passing around this bag of stale popcorn, when I noticed someone or something just sitting there, right at the edge of the light, like just outside where the fire stopped glowing. Still, completely still. At first I thought it was just a tree or something, maybe a weird shadow. But I blinked, looked again, gone, nothing. I didn't say anything. Didn't want to sound paranoid, you know? We were in the middle of the woods. It's supposed to be spooky, but the next night, he was back. Same spot, same posture, sitting cross-legged. Still, just watching. This time, everyone saw it. Jake leaned in and whispered, who the hell is that? None of us answered. We just sat there, quiet, staring at this figure. He never moved, never got closer, just sat. It wasn't like threatening. That was the weirdest part. He didn't do anything. No growling, no creepy breathing, no sudden rush at us. But still, no one said a word to him. And when we packed up for bed that night, he was just gone. No footsteps, no rustling, nothing. It happened again the next night. Same spot, same stillness. We all tried to act normal, talked louder, laughed harder, like if we ignored him long enough, he'd vanish for good. But he didn't. 3 nights. 3 nights of pretending this wasn't happening. And then, the fourth night, Sam, who's always been the do something stupid and brave guy, stood up and said, "Screw this. I'm going over there." We all tried to stop him, but he was already walking. He moved slow, careful, flashlight in one hand. The rest of us were frozen, just watching. The guy didn't move, didn't flinch. And then, when Sam got, I don't know, maybe 10 feet away, the man raised his hand, real slow, and pointed at his throat. Then he reached in his coat. And God, that moment, we all tensed. Like this is it. But he just pulled out a piece of folded paper, handed it to Sam. Sam brought it back to us, unfolded it by the fire, and I'll never forget what it said. In messy, slanted handwriting. I thought this was the church group. They said they'd be here. I'm sorry if I scared you. I didn't want to ask for food, just wanted to sit by the fire. Small laugh. I didn't even know what to do with that. He wasn't some ghost. Wasn't some psycho lurking in the woods. Just a guy. Mute. Lost. Hungry. Looking for warmth. We didn't say anything for a while. Just sat there. Embarrassed, I think. That night, we invited him closer. Gave him a meal. I think it was instant mac and cheese. Someone handed him a blanket. Jake gave him an old flashlight. He didn't speak, obviously, but he smiled. And I just remember thinking, God, how many things do we assume are out to get us? Just because we don't understand them? Sometimes it's not danger. It's just distance and fear. Fear lives in the space between what we know and what we think we know. That night taught me something. Next time I see something sitting in the dark, I might not look away so quickly. So, this happened about a year ago. We were out in Utah, just outside this little town that barely had a gas station. Total middle of nowhere vibes. No signal, no traffic, no anything really. It was supposed to be a detox trip. Me, Alex, and Jeremy. 3 nights off grid. No phones, no work stuff, just disconnect, you know? Nature, silence, that kind of thing. And honestly, the first night was perfect. We made a fire, cracked some dumb jokes, stared at the stars like we were in a coming-of-age movie or something. But the second night, yeah, that's when things fell off. I woke up around 3:30 in the morning, just wide awake all of a sudden. I thought at first it was the cold. And yeah, it was cold, but this felt different. Like something had pulled me out of sleep. And then I noticed it, this weird kind of stillness. Not peaceful, not quiet, just wrong. Like the woods were holding their breath. Not even bugs chirping. No wind. Nothing. I nudged Alex, whispered, "You hear that?" He rubbed his eyes and mumbled, "Hear what?" And that's exactly what freaked me out. I didn't hear anything. Not anymore. Jeremy was already sitting up. He hadn't said a word, just staring at the tent wall like he was waiting for something to happen. Which, I mean, not comforting. Then I noticed this smear on the inside of the tent. Like dark, damp. At first I thought maybe one of us spilled something. But when I shined my phone light through the flap, God, my stomach just dropped. Outside, in the dirt, were footprints. Barefoot. Human. Bloodied. They weren't just walking past the tent either. They were looping around it. Once. Twice. Maybe more. Just circling. Like someone had been pacing around us while we slept. and they were small, like smaller than any of us. The blood, it looked fresh, still wet in places. I remember Alex letting out this shaky little laugh, like his brain was trying to file it under weird joke or bad dream. But it wasn't that. Jeremy cursed and zipped the tent back up so fast it startled me. Then he grabbed the hatchet we brought, just in case. You know, the one we never actually thought we'd use. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. We just sat there, listening, waiting. No one said it, but I think all three of us were hoping the sun would come up fast. When it finally did, we opened the tent and went out to check. The prints were still there, even clearer in daylight. They led away from the tent and into the trees. And I was like, that's it. We're packing up. We're done. I didn't care if we paid for 2 more nights. I just wanted out. But right before we started tearing the tent down, we heard it. This sound. Like something shifting in the brush. And then a girl stepped out from between the trees. She couldn't have been much older than us. Maybe 20. Her clothes were torn up. Her hair was matted. And her feet were just raw, bleeding, like she'd been walking like that for days. She didn't say anything at first, just stood there. I asked if she was okay, and she kind of flinched. Then she started crying, just broke. Turns out she'd run away from this cabin like several miles north. Some relative had been keeping her there, not legally, not safely. She'd escaped 2 nights ago. No phone, no flashlight, just running through the woods barefoot, trying not to be found. And us, our tent, our fire, our voices, we were the only sign of people she'd seen. So at night, she crept close. Didn't want to scare us. Didn't want to ask for help either. She just needed to feel near someone. That soundless second night, that was her, just walking in circles, listening to us breathe. She didn't even realize her feet were bleeding. We gave her food, water, bandaged her feet the best we could, took her to the ranger station first thing in the morning. She didn't want us to call the cops, but we did, and we stayed. We made sure someone came. I still think about her sometimes. How close we came to not noticing, to just assuming it was something worse, or walking away scared and never knowing. I don't know. I guess I still can't shake the idea that someone could be that hurt, that scared, and still choose to stay silent, just to be near the sound of people breathing. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't the noise in the dark. It's the silence that was never supposed to be there.